Do you ever find yourself, just running hot? I don't just mean physically, I mean mentally. You get that intense pressure to win, to be perfect.
Oh.
Or maybe you're just scrolling through social media and instead of relaxing, you're getting irritated, just annoyed at how inefficiently everyone else seems to be operating.
That internal friction, that feeling of having a really short fuse,
Mm.
most people just chalk that up to being, a type A personality.
Yeah, driver.
But if we look at it through the lens of Ayurveda, what you're describing is actually an imbalance of a core life principle, the fair principle, or what's known as Pitta Dosha.
Okay, let's unpack this then. We are doing a deep dive today into managing that inner fire, the anger, the perfectionism, and trying to cultivate what the tradition calls shitalavarsh.
Which literally translates to cool thoughts.
Cool thoughts, exactly. That's our mission today. How to turn all that heat into, well, wisdom.
And this is so crucial, I think, for anyone living in our modern, hyper-competitive world. Pitta is the principle of transformation, Parivartan. It governs all of our metabolism, chaya, and really every source of heat in the body and mind.
So we need it.
Oh, absolutely. The challenge is understanding how that vital fire, which we need to digest food and ideas, can become corrosive, how it leads to burnout and what we call acidity, both physically and mentally.
The source material gives us this beautiful fundamental definition. It says Pitta is seen as Agni, or fire, but, and this is the interesting part, it's actually made of two elements, fire, tej, and water, gel. Why does fire need water to work properly in the body?
It's the essential control mechanism. I mean, think about it. If Pitta were just raw, uncontained heat, it would just burn through everything, tissues, ideas, relationships.
Right.
The water element holds that fire in a stable liquid state. The analogy I love is a bottle of hydrochloric acid. It's incredibly potent, it's transformative, but it's contained safely within a liquid medium and, a stable glass bottle.
So the container is key.
The container is everything. That containment allows the fire to do its job, transforming nutrients, images, thoughts, without destroying everything it touches. Pitta is only functional when it's safely contained by that water element.
So when we experience an imbalance, like an ulcer or just a huge fit of rage, that's the fire escaping its container, a corrosive spill.
Precisely. And to start balancing that fire, you have to begin at the root, the qualities, or the gunas of Pitta. Because in Ayurveda, balance is always achieved by applying the exact opposite qualities.
Okay, so there are 7 core gunas that define Pitta's energy, but I want to spend a little extra time on the 2 that I think are most relevant for our listener, the ones that are really driving that competitive intensity and irritability.
Let's do it. We should focus on hot and sharp. The first quality is ushna, which just means hot. This is what controls our body temperature, our strong appetite, our intense drive. But when this heat is in excess, it immediately manifests as crowd or anger. And this intense irritability, you literally feel hot under the collar.
That makes perfect sense. Fire is hot, too much heat is anger. But what about the other one? The one that's maybe a little more insidious, that drives that need for perfection and victory.
That'll be tikshna, the sharp quality.
Okay.
Now, sharpness is a wonderful asset when it's balanced.
Yeah.
It gives us sharp digestion, so we process nutrients quickly, and a really quick, keen intellect. Pitta types are fantastic decision makers because they cut through complexity so fast.
They'll cut the downside.
When tikshna is excessive, that sharpness turns outward, causing sharp speech and judgmental behavior, and it turns inward, causing ulcers and a profound, intense competitiveness.
The hatred of losing.
The absolute hatred of losing. That sharp edge comes directly from the tikshna quality.
I really see the connection now. That sharpness explains why someone can master a field so quickly, but also why they feel that constant internal pressure. So what about the other qualities, just quickly, like spreading and oily?
Well, we have sera, which means spreading. This allows Pitta to move through the blood really quickly. So when a Pitta issue starts, like a migraine or a rush of anger, it manifests rapidly, urgently.
And that contributes to that feeling of impatience.
Exactly. They struggle to sit still or wait because their energy is designed to move and spread. And then you have sneh, which is oily or unctuous. This lubricates the digestive tract, but psychologically, since oil helps things stick together, excessive sneh can lead to attachment, fixations on goals, or even sometimes seeking a little too smoothly, a bit glibly.
Got it. But the main takeaway for our listener is the urgency, the competitive fire, the judgmental mind, it's all rooted in that combination of hot ushna and sharp tikshna.
That's the core of it.
So if those are the general qualities, I want to zero in on how this competitive fire actually operates in the body and the brain. Because Pitta isn't just one force, right? It's 5 different specialized fires or subdoshas.
That's right.
So which 3 are really driving this physical acidity and mental ambition?
Okay, so we really need to understand Pachak, Alachak, and most importantly, Sadhak, Pitta.
Let's start with Pachak, the foundational one, the digester.
Pachak Pitta is located in the stomach and the small intestine. It's the workhorse. Its main job is something called Sarkit Vipajan,
Which is?
the separation of nutrients, Sar from waste, Kit. This function supports the entire system. When Pachak is aggravated, that's when the physical acidity, the sour burps, the heartburn, that's when it all begins. It's the first sign the heat is becoming corrosive.
Okay. And Alachak is in the eyes.
That's right, in the eyes. Alachak Pitta is responsible for converting light into images. If you have an imbalance there, you might get red, irritated eyes, or that discomfort of photophobia, a real sensitivity to bright light.
And now for the big one, the one that I think our listener is really feeling. Sadhak Pitta, the thinker. This is the source of that competitive ego.
This is critical. Sadhak Pitta resides in the heart and the brain. It controls memory, ego, ambition, and that intense drive. You can almost think of it as your internal hard drive that's constantly running on overdrive. When this fire is balanced, it gives you the capacity for true wisdom, for vivek, and deep focus. But when it's imbalanced, it turns into that insatiable need to win, into workaholism, into that intense competitive drive. It's the voice that says you must be the best and you must achieve your goals now.
So the very same drive that makes you successful is the exact same energy that, if you don't check it, burns you out and turns you into an angry perfectionist. Let's focus on that mental part. How does this imbalanced fire show up as, say, a lack of restraint, asanyam, or judgmental behavior?
It creates a state of mental burning, or daha.
Yeah.
Because the sharp and hot qualities are so overwhelming, your tolerance to hita, it just drops to 0.
No patience.
None. You lack restraint because the fire is driving you to react, not to pause. That hatred of losing, that quickness to critique every tiny mistake a colleague makes, that's the heat literally reducing your capacity for mental kindness.
It sounds kind of like stress and competitiveness are creating this continuous state of mental acid reflux.
That is a powerful analogy. The sources connect this mental acidity, which is fundamentally hot and corrosive and fueled by chronic stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, directly to modern burnout syndrome.
Wow.
You are literally digesting your own tissues, mentally and physically. And the traditional solution here isn't just, take a vacation. It's to cultivate Shital Vichar, cool thoughts.
Okay, I need to know more about that. How is Shital Vichar different from just, say, basic meditation or trying to slow down?
It's deeper because it targets the root of the friction. Shital Vichar is fundamentally about cultivating Swikar Bhav.
Acceptance.
Acceptance, exactly. Think of competition and anger as being fueled by mental friction, that grinding that happens when you fight reality. You fight the fact that the meeting is running late. You fight that your colleagues made mistakes, or you fight the fact that you might not win. Acceptance is the act of dropping the rope in that tug of war. When you stop creating friction, the source of that mental heat just drops away instantly.
That immediately reduces the need for the fire to run on high, which raises a really important question. What are the triggers that cause this essential fire to flare up in the first place? Let's divide them into diet, ahara, and lifestyle, vihara.
The basic rule in Ayurveda is simple. Like increases like. So pitta increases dramatically when we consume tastes that share its qualities. And those are pungent, katu, sour, amla, and salty lavana.
Okay, give us some modern specific examples. What are the common aggravators?
Well, pungent foods are the obvious ones. Excessive chili, cayenne pepper, too much raw garlic or onion. Sour foods are often fermented, so think vinegar, sour pickles, strong sour cream, even overly sour yogurt.
And coffee.
And we have to be wary of stimulants. They are inherently heating, so too much coffee, black tea, and especially alcohol, which is both sour and heating.
Now, I remember reading in one of the sources about an executive who realized his 1 p.m. Tuesday migraine was strictly correlated with him skipping his 10 a.m. second breakfast.
Oh, yes.
There is one crucial dietary rule that the sources say is absolutely disastrous for Pitta types.
And that is fasting or skipping meals. This is key. A Pitta individual has such a strong active digestive fire, the agni. If you don't feed that fire regularly and on time, it doesn't just turn off.
What does it do?
It turns inward. The fire starts digesting the physical tissues, the doshas. This leads to immediate acidity, hypoglycemia, extreme irritability, and that classic temple migraine. A Pitta type must eat on time every time to keep that fire contained and busy.
That's a very literal description of the fire consuming its own container. What about lifestyle triggers, the Vihara?
We have to respect the natural Pitta times of day. The hours between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. at midday and 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. at midnight are governed by Pitta energy.
So you need to be careful then.
Very. Exposure to the midday sun should be limited, and crucially, staying awake late, especially after 10 p.m., is incredibly inflammatory. It prevents the body and mind from doing their detoxifying work during that window, and it just leads to accumulated heat and toxins.
So for the listener who's hearing all this and wondering, oh my gosh, is this me? What's the rapid-fire checklist of symptoms for aggravated Pitta?
Look for signs of heat and corrosion. Physically, heartburn, sour burps, acne, rashes, a palpable body-burning sensation, and excessive intense thirst.
Okay.
Also, check the quality of your sweat. If it has a bad, kind of fleshy odor, that's the visraguna, the putrid quality, manifesting. Mentally, the short fuse being highly judgmental, insomnia, and migraines, especially those throbbing headaches in the temples.
And there's a classic one with hair, right?
A very classic sign is premature graying or balding. The fire is literally burning out the hair pigment.
Okay, we've diagnosed the escaping fire. Now let's talk therapy. We need to pacify Pitta using that principle of opposite qualities: cooling, heavy, and grounding. What does a good Pitta pacifying diet look like?
We just reverse the tastes. We want to favor sweet, matura, bitter, tikta, and astringent kashaya. These taste naturally cool and pacify the fire.
And we should clarify here, when we say sweet, we mean natural sweetness, not, sugar bombs.
Oh, absolutely. Think basmati rice, oats, mung beans. They are the absolute best legume for pitta gourds, cucumber, and sweet fruits like sweet grapes, mangoes, pomegranates. Simple, fresh dairy like ghee and fresh paneer are also excellent.
The sources single out one food, calling it amrit for Pitta. Tell us about pure ghee and why it's so powerful.
Pure ghee, or clarified butter, is considered nectar for Pitta. It has this unique ability to counter both the heat, ushna, and the sharpness, tikshna, without extinguishing your essential digestive fire. It's cooling, lubricating, and deeply grounding.
And for hydration?
For hydration, the best natural coolant is coconut water. And if you're dealing with really intense internal heat, infuse your room temperature water with vetiver or vala. But a critical note: never drink ice-cold refrigerator water. That thermal shock just dampens the digestive fire immediately.
Let's shift to movement and breath work. The competitive mind often seeks out really strenuous activity, but that's just feeding the fire. What's the cooling plan for yoga and pranayama?
We have to avoid excessive intensity. For asanas, favor gentle, soothing poses like child's pose, Shashankasana, and seated forward bend, Paschimottanasana. Those cool and soothe the abdominal fire.
And what should we avoid?
We advise strongly against poses that increase heat in the head, like headstand, Shirshasana. Or instead of doing tons of repetitive sun salutations, switch to Chandra Namaskar.
The moon salutations, why are those cooling?
Because they're typically done at a slower, more deliberate pace. They often incorporate more forward folding, which calms the nervous system. And the whole intention is to honor the lunar, or cooling energy, not the solar heating energy of the sun salutation.
And for cooling the breath itself, we have the air conditioning effect.
Yes. For instant cooling, you can practice Shitali Pranayama. That's where you curl your tongue into a tube and inhale, feeling the air cool down as it passes over the moist tongue. If you can't roll your tongue, you can try Shikari Pranayama by inhaling through clenched teeth, which is also great for gum health and reducing that internal burning.
Is there any caution on those cooling breaths? Who should be careful?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you have chronic kapha issues, so coldness, congestion, chronic asthma, you should use these sparingly or under guidance. They can increase coldness and dampness.
And for daily mental calm.
For daily mental calmness, especially to target that competitiveness, introduce Chandrabadana, breathing exclusively through the left, or lunar nostril, to activate the cooling energy channel.
Okay, so to address the core issue, that competitive ego, the excessive meanness that's driven by Sadhak Pitta, what is the mental antidote?
We can use sound therapy. The mantra suggested is Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu.
May all beings everywhere be happy and free.
Exactly. The power of this mantra is its direct opposition to high Pitta's fixation on the self and on personal achievement. By continually wishing happiness for the entire universe, you actively reduce the mental friction, the hatred, the competitive drive that keeps that fire raging internally. It's acceptance svikarpav expressed as sound.
That is a profound tool for transforming that corrosive fire into peaceful focus. So finally, what are the often overlooked lifestyle and naturopathic methods for cooling the entire system down?
Start early. The Pitta individual should really aim to wake up during Brahma Muhurta, which is roughly an hour and a half before sunrise. If you sleep in late, you immediately absorb the increasing heat of the rising sun, which aggravates Pitta right out of the gate.
And what about external applications? We need to counter the heat with cool oils, right?
Right. Use naturally cool oils like coconut or sunflower oil for your weekly massage or abhyanga. And then there's the powerful and often forgotten ritual of moonbathing.
Chandra Snan.
Yes, Chandra. Spending just 10 or 15 minutes outdoors under the moonlight, especially during a full moon, is a profoundly pacifying ritual. You are intentionally balancing the solar heating energy with the lunar cooling energy.
And the best possible exercise for a Pitta type.
Swimming. Or any water therapy, really. It's ideal because the water naturally cools and soothes the system. And finally, you can introduce cooling aromatherapy. Scents like rose, vetiver, cause, and sandalwood. A little paste of sandalwood on the forehead is an excellent remedy for heat-related migraines and anger.
So we've learned that balancing Pitta isn't just about, reducing physical heartburn. It's about taking that raw, competitive fire, that sharpness, and holding it safely so it transforms into inner peace, antashanti, and true discerning wisdom, vivek.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, in a world where speed, efficiency, and intense competition are incentivized, Pitta imbalance is kind of inevitable. The solution is not to extinguish the fire. We need our agni for digestion, for ambition.
And of course.
But we have to learn to moderate the flame, to keep it contained in its watery glass bottle so that it creates radiance, tej, and vitality, oja, rather than corrosive burnout and explosive rage.
That's a powerful distinction. So here is our challenge for you this week. Commit to one cooling day, just one. Select one taste you usually avoid, maybe try a simple bitter gourd preparation, or just incorporate some sweet, juicy fruits, and pair that with one cooling practice, like 5 minutes of Shitali Pranayama, or even just a moment spent outside under the night sky embracing Chandrasaskeman. What subtle but profound difference do you notice when you deliberately choose acceptance over action?